These are the stories topping the news. Nisbet highlights local debt restructuring program. Antigua-Barbuda Labour Party wins Barbuda Council seat, and China vows not to tolerate dissent. Good afternoon and welcome to ZIZ's Midday Newscast for Tuesday, September 30th, 2014. I am J.D. Keynes. Now for the news in detail. The Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis told world leaders on Monday night that the Twin Island Federation has solidified its position as a leader in the Caribbean. Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Patrice Nisbet, addressing the 69th General Assembly in New York, said St. Kitts and Nevis has attracted foreign direct investment, specifically in its tourism infrastructure and building its industrial base in the light manufacturing, the electronics and electrical component sector. He reminded the international organization that one of the peculiar vulnerabilities of small island developing states like St. Kitts and Nevis is its susceptibility to economic and environmental shocks, which result in a state of high indebtedness. Minister Nisbet noted, however, that in spite of the fiscal discipline, it is important to be mindful of the fact that one severe climate event can erase the gains achieved, effectively sending the country into a vicious cycle which makes it difficult, if not impossible, to achieve sustainable development on the economic front. He echoed the call for a new paradigm to the assessment of the policy of graduation by using the narrow policy of per capita gross national income to confer middle income and high income status on developing countries. The government's thrust in developing the energy sector was among the issues addressed by Prime Minister Douglas when he spoke at a recent groundbreaking ceremony. Prime Minister Douglas said the energy sector is one of the new emerging productive sectors that his government has targeted for future sustainable development. He then pledged his government's continued development of various forms of energy.
With the competition in the fossil-based petroleum products, we intend to continue to ensure that these products and the electricity generated therefrom is not only reliable in supply, but also affordable for the benefit of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis.
The nation's leader then expressed willingness to work closely with Delta Petroleum for the benefit of St. Kitts and Nevis.
My government, therefore, it looks forward to working with Delta Petroleum in the months and in the years ahead in order to advance the interest of our nation.
Delta Petroleum broke ground to its bulk storage facility on Friday on site in Bird Rock. Former Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Joseph Parry, believes that even after 31 years of independence, residents of St. Kitts and Nevis should not forget the achievements of Nevis's first Premier, the Right Excellent Dr. Simeon Daniel. Dr. Daniel, who is one of 4 national heroes of St. Kitts and Nevis, was among the leaders who led the country to independence in 1983. During a recent televised address in Dr. Daniel's honor, Parry explained why he believes Dr. Daniel should never be forgotten.
When we look at the achievements of Dr. Simeon Daniel, the first point that must be made is that he helped to establish the Constitution of St. Kitts and Nevis and bring independence to St. Kitts and Nevis on the 19th of September 1983. But Mr. Daniel did more than that.
Parry also credited Daniel as the first financial minister in the federal government and one of the men who returned government to the island of Nevis through the establishment of the Nevis Island Administration. For Parry, however, one of Dr. Daniel's main achievements was the establishment of an onshore tertiary level education facility.
In the old days, 3 or 4 Nevisian students used to go to the grammar school. Now today, over 50 students every year go to the Nevis Sixth Form. In addition to that, many of them come to the college here on the island of St. Kitts, and others go abroad. The Nevis Sixth Form has made a tremendous difference in the island of Nevis, that so many persons who have graduated have gone away and have become doctors, lawyers, have become engineers, have become politicians, and have taken up establishment in every aspect of life in the private sector and the public sector on the island of Nevis.
Dr. Daniel, himself a scholar, was also instrumental in ensuring that more Nevisians benefit from secondary school education.
He ensured that every Nevisian was exposed to secondary education. In fact, I would say at one time, Nevis was the only island that had secondary education for all, even before the sister island of St. Kitts.
Dr. Simeon Daniel was a member of the Nevis Reformation Party, NRP. In regional news, Emmerich John of the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party, ABLP, was the last night elected to the Barbuda Council in a by-election that reportedly had a slow, uneventful turnout on the sister isle. John, who received 373 votes, won the election by 99 votes over the Barbuda People's Movement, BPM. The ABLP's win retains the party's council membership of 8, while the BPM has 3 elected members. John will only hold the seat until next March, when biennial council elections become due. The by-election in Barbuda became necessary after ABLP's elected member Arthur Nibbs was elected as an MP and then subsequently appointed to serve in public office as a minister from June 18th of this year. Nibbs' seat as an elected member on the council had to be automatically vacated in accordance with Section 6G of the Barbuda Local Government Act that says any person serving in public office is disqualified from serving on the council as an elected member. Although there was some protest on Nibbs' part initially in July, he and his party eventually acceded that a by-election had to be held. A businessman in Barbados is facing 67 counts of criminal deception and will remain in prison for at least another week. Rodney Wilkinson, the director of Executive Rentals Car and Limousine Services, had been remanded to jail on Saturday when he appeared in court to answer the charges. We hear more in this report.
Businessman Rodney Wilkinson, who's been charged with 67 counts of criminal deception, will have to remain in jail at least for another week. Wilkinson, the director of Executive Rentals, was expected to apply to the High Court today for bail after being remanded to prison on Saturday. However, his attorney, Marlon Gordon, told Barbados Today this afternoon his client could not get on the list today and will have to apply again next Tuesday. Wilkinson's charges stem from investigations by the police fraud squad into complaints from NASCO Finance and Global Finance regarding loans for vehicles that did not exist.
The St. Lucia Chamber of Commerce will host a Global Entrepreneurship Week from November 17th to the 23rd. In the lead-up to the activity, the Chamber has spearheaded a series of meetings involving corporate sponsors, youth, and entrepreneurs to ensure the event is properly executed. Jade Brown has the details.
In the lead-up to Global Entrepreneurship Week 2014. Youth Business Officer Dyrod Lionel spearheaded the second planning meeting last week. Lionel says the meetings are critical to the success of the 7-day event in November. He says various partners were present to volunteer advice for the upcoming 2014 edition of GEW.
I mean, we've constantly worked to develop and to evolve Global Entrepreneurship Week. One of the intentions of this year is to, sensitize the nation in general, so to reach out to, the different communities, especially within the south of the island, just to give information, simple information as, the processes in registering a business.
Global Entrepreneurship Week celebrates owners of small, existing and emerging businesses in St. Lucia. With the backing of the St. Lucia Chamber of Commerce, GEW is able to create a thriving network for entrepreneurs, aiding in the growth of the businesses by strategically planning events that support their initiatives.
The challenges I realize young people face, it's just getting support. Not necessarily financial, but just getting support for their ideas, motivation, because it is a tedious task. It will require a lot, and you just need to know that you know that there are individuals, organizations supporting them throughout their entrepreneurial journey.
Global Entrepreneurship Week is endorsed by several private and public entities, including Bank of St. Lucia, the Ministry of Commerce, CEDU, Lime, Monroe College, and Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. GEW will commence November 27, 2014. Jade Brown, HTS News Force.
Internationally, China says demands for more democracy in the former British colony are illegal, and the Communist Party is warning against any external interference and emphasized it won't tolerate dissent. Al Jazeera's Adrian Brown reports from Beijing.
China's leadership has been restrained in its response to events in Hong Kong, but it's clear they think unnamed countries are behind the unrest.
We oppose any country that interferes with China's internal affairs. We also firmly oppose any country that supports the Occupy Central movement in any way.
The student-led protests in Hong Kong bring back uncomfortable memories of what happened in Beijing more than 25 years ago, when the occupation of Tiananmen Square ended in bloodshed. But what will China do if unrest worsens in Hong Kong, where it has 6,000 soldiers?
We do not need to go to the last step. It is very, very pragmatic, I would say, to let the whole process run its due course. And in this process, I think people in Hong Kong, in my best judgment, will come to the realization that peace and stability are more precious than chaos and instability.
But is this another hint of government thinking? The article says China's armed forces could restore order in Hong Kong. It appeared on the website of the Global Times newspaper, but has since been deleted. On the streets of Beijing, most people told us they were unaware of what was happening in Hong Kong. The few who did know say the protests had gone too far.
I think they have a legal right to protest, but occupying the city centre is too aggressive. There must be some outside forces behind this.
Strict media controls have been tightened. State TV is mentioning the unrest, but has not been airing any images. And the photo-sharing service, Instagram, has now been blocked. China hopes that the protests it calls illegal will simply taper out, expressing confidence that the Hong Kong authorities will contain the unrest, and insisting it'll never give in to the protesters' demands.
Hundreds of children in Nepal, India have to make perilous journeys to school every day using gondola-like bridges built over dangerous rivers. Hear more in this report.
11-year-old Sadiksha Nepal wishes there were an easier way to get to school from a village of Kumpur. Her school is on the other side of the Trishuli River in central Nepal. The nearest bridge is over an hour's walk away. So Sadiksha has to rely on the tween, a rope bridge to cross the river.
No matter how difficult it is to go to school and how late we get there, we have to go. Once we're educated, we can build a proper bridge for other students.
More than 50 children use this crossing every day. Once the basket starts moving, gravity pulls it halfway across the river. Then older children have to push and pull the basket, balancing themselves precariously on the rope.
It is much safer when this basket is here for the children, but half the time the basket is on the other side and children have to use a hook to go across the river, and many children fall into the water or trap their hands.
Sadiksha's neighbor, 15-year-old Rabindra Nepal, is often given the task of bringing the basket back.
The rope got tangled and I ended up in the water. I was really scared. I'm lucky to be alive and I'm scared to go to school.
That was 2 years ago. Many people have lost their fingers and several children have been injured trying to cross this river. The local government says it doesn't have enough money to build a proper bridge.
The demand is 50 numbers of bridges. Right now we have 10 million rupees. So from that 10 million, hardly we can complete 5 or 6 bridges.
In the nearby village of Galcho, a suspension bridge was finally installed last year, but only after the old tween snapped, killing 5 people. 13-year-old Suraj Thapa managed to survive.
I still dream of people screaming, asking for help. At times I dream of people crying. Now I'm afraid to cross rivers. We have to cross the Sawani River to go to school every day. There isn't even a twin there. A student got swept away recently. I'm scared.
The government has allocated $15 million to build suspension bridges, but people here wonder if the twins will ever be replaced. Zvina Shrestha, Al Jazeera, Dhading, Nepal.
Now the weather. Today's skies will be sunny with winds blowing from the east-southeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Temperatures will reach a high of 30 degrees and a low of 26 degrees. This evening, we are expected to see generally clear skies. And that's it for ZIZ's Midday Newscast. Do join us at 6:30 and 7 p.m. when we present the major news package. I have been your presenter, JD Keynes. Have a great day.